the group stages are over. It's time for the knockout rounds. But before that, we're going to get into those group stages. World Cup started pretty shaky. Going to say had the potential to be one of the worst so far. A lot of nil-all draws around, a lot of nil-all draws at half time. So not seeing a lot of goals in the group stages, which we don't love to see. But in terms of the Aussies, we're into the knockout stages. We finished second in the group. So in terms of that, it's the best World Cup ever so far. But before we get into the Aussies, let's start with Group A and how that one finished. Group A, Netherlands finished top. Senegal second, Ecuador third, and Qatar fourth. Now, look, I got this one completely wrong. I thought Qatar would be the second team there. On home soil, I thought that would be enough to get them over the line. However, very underwhelming performances from them this World Cup. They didn't show up in the slightest. Ecuador on that first day, taking care of them in comfortable fashion, and that kind of just set the way for them. Ecuador, quite a decent World Cup for them. Unlucky to miss out to Senegal in that final group stage game. That was kind of the autoplay for those two teams. Qatar packing their bags after just 2 games. So Netherlands took care of business in Group A. Pretty comfortable stuff. They played out a draw with Ecuador, but apart from that, won the other 2, and it was comfortable fashion for them. Cody Gakpo, big name. He's going to get a move in the January transfer window maybe, or maybe in the summer, who knows, but big World Cup for him so far, and can he continue to put Netherlands on his back and do some more magic? Because he's already topped the group with Netherlands, but how far can they go is the question to be answered so far. Now, Group B, we're going to fly through these. England topped the group in maybe underwhelming fashion, but we'll get into that. USA in second, that's a surprise for me. Iran for third, and Wales fourth. Look, I had Wales to get it out of the group here in second spot, but their first World Cup in 64 years, I believe, was, again, like Qatar, very, very underwhelming. Aaron Ramsey and Gareth Bale obviously can't do it all themselves, and they went home. They went home earlier than I thought they would. Iran doing the business over them. They played a draw with USA. And look, England topped the group, yes, but were they good enough? Not really. They smashed Iran in that first game. I think everybody expected them to. And then that stale 0-0 draw with USA was just very dire. And again, I think that's the question marks over Southgate, and everybody's wondering if it doesn't change, then they're not going to do anything in this tournament. Yes, they progress, but, are they going to go any further than the round of 16? So that remains to be seen. But then in that third game against Wales, they turned it on, that second half there, dominant performance, dominant 45, to finish the group stages. So job done for them. They topped the group. But again, USA, do or die in that final game against Iran, doing the business and getting that second spot. I didn't think it would happen, but they've done it. So far, 0 for 2. If you go and watch the group stage or the whole tournament predictions, you'll see my tips, Tony's tips, Baxter in there as well, for the group stages and who kind of gets out of each group. So far, I've got a couple wrong, a couple right, but that's gonna continue this whole tournament or this whole group stage, because I did get a few wrong, and there's a few shocks in there. So kudos to USA. How far can they go? They've got Netherlands. I don't know. I think that's probably where they fall. I think Netherlands should be too strong for them, but that could be an interesting matchup. That's the first game being played. And then we've got England taking on Senegal. I fancy England to do the business there. Now we move into Group C, and this one had the biggest shock of the tournament so far. Saudi Arabia, who did finish fourth, actually got past Argentina in that first game, 2-1 over Messi and co. Very, very surprising, big shock, especially the way Argentina started that game. We all thought they'd run away with that, a few offside goals. But Saudi Arabia held strong and they got that win. But then that's where it fell apart from. They should have taken that, and they should have had momentum to go on and even get the second spot. 3 points after the first game is always going to put you in a good spot, especially beating that top team. But they unfortunately couldn't do it, losing out to Poland next 2-0 and Mexico 3-0. And that Mexico game, along with Poland-Argentina, would be the deciding point for that Group C. We know Mexico, they were up 3-0. I believe they needed a fourth to go through. Poland down 2-0 at the time to Argentina. At one stage, it was 3-1 in the end, that Mexico-Saudi Arabia game. But at one stage, that was going to go down to yellow cards and who had more, which was Mexico, and that would have been the way they fell. But Saudi Arabia grabbed a goal at the 90th minute, ended up going out Mexico in more respectable fashion, I suppose you'd say, rather than unfortunately on yellow cards. But Poland, don't think they did a lot this to get through. Don't think they were great at all. Lewandowski gets one goal in the tournament, but I think they were very underwhelming. And now they do face France, so I think that's going to be where they fall. However, Argentina, we know we'll get into it. They're facing the Aussies now, and I know I want to believe as an Aussie, but we don't know how that's going to go. We probably do know how that's going to go one way. But yeah, Argentina topping that group, Poland finishing second. I think that's how I had it. That was expected. I think Mexico was the only ones that maybe should have been there. But yeah, for me, Saudi Arabia, unlucky because they started very well. But again, Argentina, top in the group, yes, but haven't been fantastic. Messi's missed a few penalties. So it's thereabouts. They don't want to peak too early, maybe. So maybe Argentina will be okay. We'll get into that. But Group D now, the one that the Aussies are in, and I'm going to put my hand up here. Got it wrong. Completely got it wrong. Didn't have the Aussies progressing. Had the Aussies finishing fourth. Now, we know who finishes fourth. There it says it there. Denmark. Could be up there, candidates for the worst tournament out of every team. Them and Belgium, for me, by far the biggest underwhelming performers. Denmark ranked 10th in the world. They knocked off the likes of Belgium and others leading up to the tournament. They were unbeaten in 9 or so, and looking really good. A dark horse potentially for the World Cup. They've bowed out the first hurdle in possibly the worst fashion you can. I mean, they didn't score a goal all tournament. They scored one against France, but again, didn't matter for anything at that time. And they were just very underwhelming. They didn't kind of get into gear. And that final game against the Aussies, where they really should have put it on the Aussies and kind of got past them, they just couldn't get anything going. And yes, the Socceroos defended extremely well and deserved it. It still was very underwhelming for Denmark. So a very poor tournament for them. Now, Tunisia, that final group game against France, they got the job done against a France side that was obviously very understrength. Probably their C squad fielding. I mean, they were resting, that's for sure. But yeah, they got it done. 58th minute they scored. But unfortunately, the Socceroos got a goal straight after in the 60th minute against Denmark and got the 3 points there. So it was all for nothing. But a valiant effort from a Tunisian side who, again, I thought going into the tournament were a better side than the Aussies. But the Aussies, again, got past them in the second game. So kudos to the Socceroos. They deserve it fully. We're in our second knockout stages in however many years. It's been 16 years since 06. Fully deserved, though, finishing on equal points with France on 6 points. And with all the momentum going into this game against Argentina, which is tomorrow morning. Who knows how it is going to go? I want to believe. I'm optimal. I want to see the Aussies get past Argentina, send Messi packing in his final game, but it might be a task too far for the Socceroos. But look, that remains to be seen. We'll find out. Now, Group E, the group of death. Japan top in the group of death with Spain coming second. As you can see, Germany finishing third and bowing out, and Costa Rica, who I think we all had coming fourth, did in fact finish fourth. First off, didn't expect Japan to top the group. Didn't have Japan going through. I know they're a good team. I knew they'd provide, a bit of a shock, but I did not see them getting past Germany and pipping them to that other spot. But they did it. Germany bow out, and for that, 70 seconds in that final game, it was Japan going through with Costa Rica, and both Spain and Germany were bowing out. But no, it finished with Spain finishing second, and I think they now have to face Morocco, and it's not the worst one for them. I think they can definitely get past Morocco, so it's not panned out too bad for them. Japan will now face Croatia, I believe. So both teams, I think, can probably progress from that group. I think Japan, the way they're playing, can definitely get past Croatia, who we'll get into, weren't the best, but have started to click. And Spain, I think, should get past Morocco, and they'll probably actually be happier playing Morocco than they will be playing Croatia. But for me, Germany bowing out is just very poor. It's not a good tournament for them. and they'll reassess. It's now back-to-back group stage exits in the World Cup after 2018 as well. So they're going home early, and they're going to have to reassess and come back stronger for the Euros. But Costa Rica put in a valiant effort, for a bit of time there, but fourth place is all they'll finish. Now, Group F, just speaking about them, Morocco topping that group. Fair play to them. Belgium going home in third, but Croatia getting second, and Canada fourth. For me, Canada, they weren't necessarily a dark horse. I did pip them as a dark horse, but I don't think they were ever going to win the thing. I just thought that they could, provide a shock here or there. And it nearly happened in that first group stage game against Belgium. It so nearly happened. They dominated, deserved 3 or 4 goals. They didn't get even one. They missed a penalty. And I think that's just where they kind of were undone. They got shocked in that second game against Croatia, getting beat around the park, again after scoring early and going up this time. And then losing that final game against Morocco, which was nothing to play for after bowing out for the second game. So for me, I wouldn't say underwhelming performance for Canada, not an underwhelming World Cup, but they'll take this and hopefully grow from it and learn their lessons that they need to take chances, because that first game against Belgium, if they get 3 points, even a draw, I do fancy them to go through in that second spot. Did have Belgium to go through in that first spot, and again, they just completely capitulated themselves. I mean, De Bruyne coming out saying they're too old, the golden generation doesn't exist anymore, it's just adding fuel to the fire that was already burning. They didn't look good at all. They finished third in the 2018 World Cup, and they just didn't look anywhere close to playing that kind of football this World Cup. Their final game against Croatia, Lukaku missed sitter after sitter after sitter, and just completely summed up Belgium. And they're going to go home just like Germany are. So Morocco play Spain. I think Morocco probably fancy their chances there as well, as Spain do. And Japan will play Croatia. And again, Croatia probably do fancy their chances there. So a couple of interesting ties there. But this group, I mean, probably this, I don't know if I say the second group of death, but, I wouldn't have expected Morocco and Croatia to go through here. But fair play to them both. Now we've got Group G, and it's Brazil topping the group. Don't think there's any surprises there. Then we've got Switzerland, Cameroon, and Serbia. Look, I can't remember exactly who I had going through in second, but I think it was Switzerland. And they did just that. They did enough. It was kind of one of those, comes down to the final day games again. So, look, fair play to Switzerland for getting through there over Serbia. That was a cracking final game there. 3-2 it finished to Cameroon, to Switzerland, sorry. Meanwhile, Cameroon scored a 93rd minute, 92nd minute winner against Brazil, but it was all for nothing. They did finish third in that group, so over Serbia, but Brazil were through. They played a weaker squad, and Brazil, again, will regroup now for the knockout stages against South Korea. Neymar, will he be back in time for this game? They say he is, so we'll see. We've got a few days before that. We'll see if he is back in time. But Brazil, they probably got through as comfortable as anybody thought they would. I don't think they were amazing by any stretch, but I don't think they needed to be in this group. They've done enough, and they're through, and they'll play South Korea. Switzerland will play Portugal, and that's Group H. Portugal coming first in that group, South Korea second, Uruguay third, and Ghana fourth. Now, look, don't think I had South Korea going through here. I had Uruguay in second, but just like Belgium, just like Denmark, Uruguay probably didn't have the same high hopes, but they were very, very underwhelming. And it started with that 0 draw against South Korea. Weren't good at all. Meanwhile, Portugal started off well against Ghana in a 3-2 as well, but it was enough for them. And yeah, Uruguay just completely shat the bed, I want to say. They didn't play well at all. They got that win against Ghana in the final day, but it wasn't enough. As South Korea scored, I think it was a 88th minute winner or whatever it was, to go through over Portugal and pip Uruguay to that second spot. And it was just kind of fairy tale stuff for the South Koreans, who wholeheartedly deserve it because they played very well in their group stages. But they do come up against Brazil now. So I think that is probably where the road ends for them. Portugal, however, come up against Switzerland, and they should get past them. they should comfortably get past Switzerland and go on, and who knows how far they can go there. So for me, few surprises along the way. Obviously, we spoke about Wales. I think they were quite underwhelming. We spoke about Argentina, who are underwhelming, but they still top the group, and now they've got to play the Aussies. Germany, probably the worst of the lot so far, and Belgium there as well. Very entertaining group stages. A lot of nil or draws in there, which I don't find entertaining, but the way they kind of all panned out, the way the final groups kind of finished off, it's promising for a good end to the tournament. And again, Brazil, for me, still the favourites to go on and win the thing. And that's kind of, that's kind of where we're going to leave it in terms of the groups. But now I want to get into, the best players of the tournament so far. And for me, I mean, Mohamed Kudus, I think was great. Unfortunately, his World Cup is now over with Ghana. But he was a shining star. Jude Bellingham for England, I think, was on his first international tournament or World Cup, has been great. And then there's the likes of Cody Gakpo and players like that who have played phenomenal for their countries so far and kind of is doing it all. So decent World Cup. Unfortunately, again, Tony's not here, Baxter's not here. We don't have any other boys to talk, so I'm just kind of rambling at this point. But that's the group stages done. Knockout stages, the round of 16 is coming up. Starts tomorrow morning. Netherlands, USA, and then Aussies play Argentina. We'll do a recap of the round of 16, and I can't wait to see you guys then. Thanks for joining me. Peace.